Jared here, part number 3 on the wheel bearing. On part number 1, I showed you how to get the axle nut or the axle bolt loose out of the hub with everything apart using a locating pin. On part number 2, I showed you how to get the bearing and the hub out in one piece without destroying it in case you wanted to reuse it for any reason. Now in part number 3, I'm going to show you how to install the bearing into the old hub like you would on any wheel bearing replacement. So we have the hub right here. This is what you'd typically see if you pulled it out like normal. So this part right here is the bearing race. This particular one, as I pulled it out, came out with the bearings. The bearings came out like that, so this just comes right off. You can pull it off by hand. But like you saw right here, I went ahead and started to cut it. What you want to do is you want to cut it diagonally. So in my opinion, you want to relieve the stress by cutting it first. Some people just try to hammer it off the way it is. I feel like this creates the least amount of damage. All the cutoff wheels are circular, so you might not get it perfect. You might get a little nick at the end right here and a little nick at the end right there, but it doesn't matter. The structural integrity of this is going to be sound, and the bearing is going to go over that nick, and it's not going to matter one bit. So I'm going to go ahead and cut this just a little bit more to show you the process, and then I'm going to hammer it off with my air chisel. So let me adjust the camera right here. Typically you would want to put this in a vise, but for the purposes of doing a quick video, I'm just going to show you on the ground. So you want to cut the race there. It might be still connected just a little bit right in the center there, but if you hit it with this air hammer, you want to be, typically, like I said, you want to have this in a vise, but so you don't typically want to do this. Don't try this at home. See how it shifted there? Now there is a little tiny notch at the end of this, so I'm just going to use that. Very slippery, so you definitely use a vise. Now, you do want to inspect this. I might have just barely nicked it. I don't think so. I'm feeling it. Everything feels fine. If there's any nicks or anything on here, you want to clean the nicks up first. But now we have the hub with the race removed. There's a little tiny nick right here from the cutoff wheel and a little tiny nick right there. Like I said, neither one of those are going to cause any problems. So now let's press this hub onto the new bearing. Okay, the bearing's right here. See how it's not the same on both sides? You definitely want to look at the old bearing and make sure that you're putting the bearing in correctly. If you put it in backwards, it's not going to bolt in correctly. So an easy way to do that is we want to find the old housing. So we'll go over to my scrap pile here and we'll find an old housing, and I'll show you how to look at the housing. So this is my scrap pile here. Definitely that's the side that went into the hub. Obviously that's the side that, I mean, typically you can just look at stuff, you can tell how it was mated. If you don't know how something was taken apart, you know, you can just use your investigation resources there just by looking at stuff and see how it was apart. So this side right here is the side that goes towards the hub, or I'm sorry, towards the spindle. This side is hub side, so that's the smaller side. What we're gonna do, all we have to do is just slide this right on there, and this is the press. But the trick to this is, where do you press? Do you just put anything on there? No, the part that you're pressing in is this inner race. This inner race is the only thing that you want to be pressing in. So what I have here is an old inner race. So I'm just going to throw this old inner race onto the new inner race, and then we're going to put ourselves something here on top to push it down unevenly. Just anything will work that's stout here. So now we're just going to make sure that it's all centered, and then we're just gonna, I love my old school Love my old school vise here. Came a little bit crooked as I was pushing it down, but you just see it push in there. And this is not the easiest thing to do with one hand. But see, it's all the way flush. We're going to take it back apart. Take this off. This off. There we go. It's ready to install.